detonated with surgical precision. Then it happened again. A second fortress vanished, then a third. And finally, humanity spoke. The transmission was simple. One human voice, deep and calm, broadcast across every Zorathi channel. You celebrated the deaths of our children. Now we come to collect the cost. The wrath of Earth unleashed. What followed was not war, it was annihilation. The human fleets did not march with hesitation. They descended like storms, eclipsing suns with the sheer scale of their formations. Carriers the size of continents unleashed wings of drones that poured across planets like living fire. Orbital bombardments carved alien cities into smoking seas of glass. Zorathi warships, proud, sleek, and tested in countless battles, found themselves outclassed. Their plasma lances shattered harmlessly against human shield matrices, while human rail cannons punched holes clean through their hulls. Entire fleets were erased in minutes, battles over before alarms could finish sounding. The humans did not pause. They did not negotiate. They advanced, one system after another, dismantling the empire that had dared touch their colony. Civilians whispered that the humans were not fighting, they were erasing. The fall of the celebrants. The Zorathi parades ended in terror. Hollow spectacles that once showed human defeat now broadcast cities burning their cities. Celebrations turned to curfews. Music turned to silence. The High Lords who toasted humanity's weakness now cowered in bunkers. Their confidence shattered as human ground forces landed with the weight of thunder. Soldiers clad in power armor moved like gods among mortals, their rifles spitting storms of magnetized death. Every attempt to resist was answered tenfold. For each colony lost, humanity erased 100 worlds. For each life taken, humanity demanded thousands in return. The Zorathi Empire, once arrogant and untouchable, began collapsing under the weight of its own terror. The message to the galaxy. The galaxy watched in dread. Species who once doubted humanity now trembled at the scale of their retaliation. Councils whispered, "If this is what Earth does when provoked, what happens if they are truly enraged?" No alliance dared intervene. No mediator stepped forward. Even ancient powers who prided themselves on galactic balance remained silent. The lesson was clear. Earth was not to be tested. The retaliation was not reckless rage. It was calculated, cold, absolute. Humanity had not merely answered. Humanity had taught. The last broadcast. When the Zorathi homeworld finally burned, humanity made one final transmission. The same calm voice that once warned them now spoke again. Let it be known, humanity's patience is vast, but our vengeance is infinite. Then the comms cut to silence. No more words, no more warnings. The lesson was written not in diplomacy, but in ruins that stretched across 100 systems. Aftermath, whispers in the dark. The galaxy changed forever. Where once ambassadors spoke to humanity as equals, now they spoke with trembling voices, always careful, always respectful. Borders expanded around Earth uncontested. Treaties were signed without debate. The story of the Zorathi became legend. Children of alien worlds grew up hearing it as a warning, do not provoke Earth. And in the dark corners of every council chamber, one whisper repeated itself endlessly. They celebrated too early, and then humanity struck back. The stars above Thryka Prime burned bright that night, as the Zurith Dominion feasted beneath banners of victory. Their High Marshal raised a chalice carved from the bones of a human envoy, mockery of the peace mission that had arrived weeks before, begging only for dialogue. That envoy had been executed on the spot. His body displayed on spikes outside the Dominion's war citadel, a message for all who would dare to speak for Earth. But that was only the beginning. 3 human colonies, fragile settlements barely a century old, were annihilated in swift, coordinated strikes. The Zurith fleets rained down fire upon farms, schools, and cities. They didn't target military sites. They didn't even bother with strategic destruction. They killed civilians, laughing at the screams that echoed through planetary comms. The Zurith warriors, scaled giants with armor etched in trophies of conquered species, called it a cleansing. They spoke of humanity as vermin, a pest that dared crawl among the stars without permission. On Thryka Prime, as thousands of Zurith officers toasted their massacre, they displayed holofeeds of burning human colonies. The devastation looped on massive screens, and every laugh echoed with the arrogance of conquerors, certain their dominance would never be challenged. The chorus of arrogance. "We struck them in their cradle and they wailed like infants," roared General K.R. Rath, slamming his clawed fist against the banquet table. "Their fleets did not come. Their leaders begged. They begged." The chamber erupted in guttural laughter. "They are soft," hissed another commander. "They are bound by rules, by treaties. They will not answer. Humanity is too fragile to fight." The Zurith Council agreed. They saw Earth as a civilization of art, trade, and diplomacy, advanced in technology but shackled by morality. They mistook restraint for weakness. For decades, the galaxy had whispered of Earth's patience, of how humans endured insults, blockades, and provocations, never striking first. The Zurith believed they had finally exposed the truth. Humanity was powerless, a meek voice pretending at strength. The Dominion sent out a proclamation across the stars. "Earth has fallen silent, they will not rise." And so, the galaxy believed. Neighbors shook their heads at human naivety. Traitors muttered that humanity should have known better than to challenge the Zurith war machine. Even allies doubted Earth's resolve. The Zurith celebrated for days, convinced the war was already won. But silence is not surrender. The silence that preceded thunder. The Zurith did not notice the sudden quiet on the human networks. They dismissed the blackout of Earth's communications as despair, as shame. They did not see the mobilization. On Luna's dark side, shipyards that had slept for decades awakened. Vast hangar doors opened, revealing Leviathan dreadnoughts, hulks of steel that blotted out the stars as they stirred. Engines flared and space itself seemed to recoil. Mars lit its forges. The Martian foundries, silent since the great wars of the inner worlds, now thundered to life, birthing war machines by the hundreds. From the Uit cloud to the asteroid belts, sleeper fleets powered on ships without names, without records, fleets never spoken of in treaties. In the silence Earth had built. When the Zurith's arrogant broadcasts mocked the deaths of human children, those words were recorded and played in every barracks, every command center, every warship. Humanity's soldiers listened not with tears, but with cold fire in their eyes. The silence was the inhale before the scream. And then the scream came. The day the sky turned black. It began without warning. On the edge of Zurith space, outposts reported shadows, fleets of impossible scale, arriving not in formation, but like a tidal wave. Their engines burned brighter than suns, and their hulls bore no emblems, no flags. Only one word appeared across intercepted signals. Retribution. The Zurith scoffed at first. They launched patrol fleets, expecting to meet fragile human ships. Instead, they met steel walls. human dreadnoughts 3 times the size of anything the Zurith had fielded. The first Zurith fleet vanished in 10 minutes. The second lasted 20. After the third, their laughter stopped. Then Earth's voice returned to the stars. It was not a plea. It was not diplomacy. It was a broadcast that froze blood in every alien vein. You killed our children. You mocked our dead. Now you will understand us. The war that followed was not a war. It was an extinction storm. Fire from the heavens. Human fleets did not strike military targets alone. They burned the Zurith supply lines, shattered their shipyards, and erased entire worlds of industry. Every Zurith colony that had cheered the massacre of humans found its skies darkened. Human carriers released storms of drop pods, armored divisions descending like iron rain. Where Zurith soldiers had once mocked human fragility, they now met soldiers in exosuits who fought like storms, their rifles firing bolts that tore through armor as if it were paper. The Zurith had mocked humanity's compassion. They believed humans would hesitate, would